The Ukrainian forces developed a plan to divert the attention of the Russians from Pokrovsk by targeting the remaining pockets of encircled enemies near Dobropillia. With hundreds of drones in the air, the Ukrainians slowly tightened the noose and forced the remaining Russian troops on the ground into mass surrendering. General Alexander Syrskyi has prepared a straightforward plan to divert Russian attention and manpower away from the brutal push south of Pokrovsk and east of Mirnohrad by launching a focused Ukrainian counterattack to the north. The goal is twofold: to clear the remaining pockets of encircled Russian troops near Dobropillia, and to stabilize this sector, freeing Ukrainian forces to strike from the north and pressure Russian formations threatening Pokrovsk to be reallocated. Ukraine has already cleared several of these pockets in full and is now conducting operations to eliminate the rest. According to Syrskyi, the renewed offensive in the Dobropillia direction is designed to stretch Russian reserves thin and force them to defend multiple axes at once, thereby preventing the enemy from concentrating its main forces against Pokrovsk. The Ukrainian forces are now pushing north of Nikhonorivka and south through Zadashok, supporting the wider deblockading operations around Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. A week of brutal fighting has left Zadashok and the neighboring villages littered with Russian bodies. One geolocated video shows a single dirt road where corpses lie every 10 to 15 meters. Clear proof of the devastating effectiveness of Ukrainian artillery, drones, and ambush tactics. Even more Russians lie dead scattered through the woods nearby, where they were caught trying to retreat or dig in. Realizing their situation was hopeless, many Russian soldiers began surrendering en masse. Ukrainian drone operators adapted their tactics by mounting loudspeakers on FPV drones, flying low over Russian trenches, and broadcasting surrender instructions. In one confirmed case, 2 Russian soldiers holed up in a building tried to fortify their position, but changed their minds after being targeted by a vampire hexacopter and several FPV drones one after the other. They emerged, dropped their rifles, and followed the drone's instructions to Ukrainian lines. Ukrainian reconnaissance later reported that dozens of Russian soldiers surrendered after similar broadcasts, with footage showing how they were taken as prisoners of war. In other areas, Ukrainian intelligence identified Russian infantry concentrations and coordinated precision strikes using different types of drones and artillery, effectively breaking the remaining organized resistance. Freed from holding encircled sectors, Ukrainian assault and air assault brigades can use the momentum to strike the Russian northern flank near Rodinske. With many Russian soldiers choosing to surrender, the Russian command was afraid of a domino effect and a full Ukrainian breakthrough that could cause the entire northern flank to be exposed. To prevent the risk of the main encircling effort being destroyed, the Russian officers hastily diverted reserves from Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad to try to plug the gap. However, their timing could not have been worse, as the autumn mud season has arrived. Several Russian columns, including armored vehicles and supply trucks, became bogged down in the soaked terrain while attempting to maneuver toward Dobropillia. In one incident, 5 armored vehicles advanced into the area to reinforce the collapsing front, but 3 of them got stuck in the mud, forcing their crews to abandon the vehicles and wade through flooded ditches. Precision strikes with HIMARS rockets obliterated the convoy, while Ukrainian FPV drones and hexacopters finished off the remaining vehicles by dropping high explosive charges directly onto their hulls. Russian military bloggers tried to downplay the disaster, claiming that the infantry had managed to dismount and fortify their positions. But geolocate evidence tells a different story of burned-out armored columns and hundreds of Russian bodies scattered across open fields and trenches. Overall, the Ukrainian clearing operation achieved its objective to divert Russian attention from Pokrovsk. forcing the enemy to reallocate troops after several positions collapsed. Syrskyi's plan of targeting the northern flank aims to restore much-needed breathing room to Ukrainian defenders in Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. It remains to be seen whether the Russian command will allow the northern front to disintegrate to maintain their push from the south. But every attempt to support those near Dobropillia has only deepened the catastrophe, leaving the Russians with more losses. The Russians have deployed 27,000 soldiers in the Pokrovsk-Mirnohrad area, supported by around 360 armored vehicles and 160 artillery systems, with President Zelensky stating that Ukraine's defenders are outnumbered 8-1, but still resist. Russian efforts to enter Mirnohrad were confirmed by a Ukrainian spokesperson, but confirmed that Mirnohrad remains under Ukrainian control. Geolocated videos show the symbolic destruction of a heavily armored Russian turtle tank on one of the approaches. The vehicle bypassed the Dragon's Teeth fortifications through a gap on the road, but was destroyed by a Ukrainian FPV drone just as it passed under a gas pipeline arch. The surviving infantry were then eliminated by drone-dropped munitions, unable to make it into any buildings to hide. The tank exploded in a massive fireball, as Russians were symbolically destroyed at a gate into the city. Behind this staggering attrition lies a darker truth, as Russian generals have found ways to turn this massacre into profit. Investigations reveal widespread extortion and corruption across frontline units. Ordinary soldiers are forced to pay their commanders not to be sent on suicidal assaults into Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. Those who cannot or refuse to pay are simply reset, a term used inside the Russian army for execution or deliberate death in a suicidal assault.